Good morning, Grand Rising. Blessings to everyone. It's a bright, sunny day here in uh, York, Maine. We're on the northeast of America, and here York is the southwestern point of Maine, which is still on the ocean as it narrows down and melds with New Hampshire below us. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful time of the year, the shifting energies of the year. Um, we have a mixture, at least where I am, and also along the coast, where everything sort of blends together. It's almost as if everything agrees to balance itself. And the leaves from the trees um, have sort of a language of you go first this time, and we'll wait and we'll watch you, and then you can help us. And so there's sort of a community, I feel, more and more every year of how nature really supports itself and supports each other in ways of loving kindness, uh, actual compassion. I actually sense compassion in a lot of natural beings. And that shift in my uh, experience leads me to great amounts of hope for humanity. Because I look at all of that we're doing and where we've come from and what we've been through as really uh, a convergence. It's really about uh, honoring who we are and what we are, not according to what we were taught, not according to what the world has told us, but according to what is going on inside of us and we're processing. And we're finding that our reliance on others to process our feelings about love and loving each other and caring and trying to communicate what is best for everyone, not just a few, has brought us to this place of real a struggle, a struggle. And it's not just here in the United States, it's around the world. And as we can see, I don't need to go to any length to explain that. Each one of you are experiencing it in your own way. And what I hear from a lot of people is how it becomes overwhelming. It becomes overwhelming, and most of them, are very deeply wounded and don't know how to process that, or they're in great fear, fear of financial distress or mental and physical illness effects, or the politics that are happening around us just seems so bizarre to have reached this point in the evolution of our countries where the leadership is falling apart and they don't even see it. They're so engrossed in what they want and what is going to make a profit for them and whomever. They're disregarding everyone and looking at saying, well, you're dispensable, and you're dispensable, and you're dispensable. I mean, that's what they're doing. It's like cleaning out your refrigerator and saying, oh, this is no good. I don't want this. I don't want that. We can't do that with humanity. That's we've kind of done it with the world in many ways, and are we going to start that on humanity now? We're going to cut down these trees. We're going to let these people die because we need them for something else. We need the space, or we're going to build a house here, or what is the logic, the human logic that is going through each of us? So, good morning, Lily. Good morning, Victoria. So, those are sort of the things that led me to this. And the title came up from the word convergence. And, and it was, and the title is The Convergence or Separation of Love. And it didn't start out as love. It started out as a political story. And as I was writing it, I said, I understand and everybody else understands the politics of what's going on. But what's more important is if we can talk about our hearts, then politically we'll react differently. Because really, what we're trying to do is bring the world closer together. I'm not saying the leadership is trying to do that. I'm saying we as the human body, we as the muscles, as the veins, as the molecules of life are in our hearts truly trying to bring things together, not in a selfish way. It appears selfish in many visions and many things, and I've had to look at all of this and say, is that my perception? Is that my brain, the two halves of my brain having this discussion? And each one of them is trying to win over the other one and become the most, favored. Or is it really coming from my heart, which is feeding my brain? That without that source of blood flow to the brain, it never would have come online to begin with, as we were just infants in our mother's womb. So you see, this is far deeper than we see on the surface. What we see on the surface of what's happening, the separation, is really, it's sort of like a warning sign. It's like, the street lights. It's flashing yellow. It's saying, hello, you only have a little time to react here. You either run like hell or you stop because traffic is coming. And you're going to be part of it and not a pretty part of it. So before we all get run over by politics and all of this insanity from corporations and people who are wonderful people, I'm sure, and have great ideas, but maybe we can tone their ideas into something more beneficial for each one of us as individuals, as well as collectives, and not try to reclaim, this is mine, that's yours. No, it's not. It doesn't belong to anybody but Mother Earth. Your idea of owning this and your idea of being in charge of this is all. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. So the two words, convergence and or separation, came up, and what it made me think of was rivers. A woman that I know is doing a river blessing out in I believe it's the state of Washington. Myself and a friend did a river walk of prayers just recently here in Maine. And what we started is at the beginning of one river. And at the end, we ended up where the two rivers converged, two big rivers, and then they poured into the ocean. And to witness that from the beginning sort of pool or pond, lake that were gathered and then started to stream down and go all the way to the river and then be where the two rivers joined and feel the energy that and really sit there. And while we were there, there was a seal that came in to us, and you could see the ocean right from where we were sitting, and the seal had come in and popped up while we were sitting there, almost to say, thank you, bless you. This is where we are. Can we appreciate, can we learn to love again without separating ourselves from everything around us? Can we remember when, I'm going to go back to being a young child, and I grew up in a city, it was the city of Boston, but they had gardens, and I used to go and play in those gardens, and they were like a sort of a Shangri-La for me, because everything else was brick and fences and gates and yeah, it was narrow streets, and there was violence in the streets, and I had to become a gang member at 9 years old in order to survive. And so this sensitive, genuine self that I was had to escape into nature, and that was those parks. And the streets were basically all politics. It was, this is my street, this is my territory, I own this, you have to, if you're going to do this, you have to do that. If it got dark at night, you had to know exactly what gang's line you were in, because you were destined for an encounter. And so you had to get out of there quick, because that was their way of surviving. We don't need to survive anymore. We have the capability and the wisdom to not just survive. We have the wisdom to not separate. And we have the wisdom to converge together to a greater wholeness of humanity, nature, light, love. Let's look forward to trying to put that into action. So the question for me was about how both systems of convergence and separation, you converge and you're bringing two things together, the two rivers together as one, without fighting, without arguing, but they flow together. There's a little ripple and disturbance, but then they manage, we're here for the greater purpose, and that's to join Mother Ocean. We need more of that in the world, and each one of us have the ability to do it singularly, even with our own families. How many families now are split apart because of this, this struggle that we've had with this disease and vaccines, and over vaccines, having them or not having them, has destroyed families. That's the separation. It has created more separation. And while many of us are coming back together, and back into convergence and trying to work together, that fog, I'll call it fog, of separation is thick. And right now, here in America, we're heading for a midterm election, which is going to be a very strange process. And it's because we have so many people who are our leaders that are lying. They're not speaking the truth. All they're speaking about is how they're the best for whatever we need. Not telling us they're going to give us things, telling us they're going to take things away. And people are saying, oh yeah, that's great. Well, we don't. And so we've created a mindset in America where separation and standing on each other's side of the street and throwing things at each other seems to be the way to live. And I'm sure in whatever country you're in, you can find that in your own system of politics. So this is why politics doesn't work. Politics does not work, and it never has worked. And I'm going to say that as my opinion. What works is love. And when we can do things from a place of love, when we don't separate ourselves from love, things that are beneficial for everyone happens. But for any of us to deny another person of the right to have food or an education or a place to live, that's criminal. I'm just going to say the word criminal. And I'm not trying to point my finger at anybody. We all have those thoughts at times, including myself. But I have to come back and say, no, this is who you were, Charlie, when you stood on the street and tried to sell some flowers because you didn't have anything to eat. This is you when you were bankrupt and lost everything. This is you. It isn't them. It's you. It's us. They are the mirror for us to look in and see the part of us that is vulnerable. See the part of us that has buried pain and suffering deep in our molecular structure, our neurological structure. And now it's rising to be released, and we're a mess. And we're a mess because those who want to just miss it and just fill themselves with flashy, fine things and promises that are not going to work, businesses that are going to spend billions of dollars and end up bankrupt. Who does that hurt? It hurts all of us. That's not converging. That's not working together. That's not joining energy and love and light and power for the good of everyone. That's cutting a big piece out of the middle and saying, this is mine, and that's what I'm after. And if you follow me, great. You can share in my grandiose scheme, but you will never get what I get because I'm more important than you are. And this is where we're living. And so for those of you who are facing an election where you are, I want you to think seriously about what's been said to you. And I want you to look at the credibility of the people who are saying it to you. Don't worry about the content as much as what is the integrity of the person? What is the history of their existence? What have they shown you in their lifetime who they are? And would you trust them with your children? It's not hard to do that. Would you trust them with your children? Because you are trusting. You are trusting that your children will have a better life because of their ideology. I'll get off the politics now. I just wanted to blend it in. Let's go back to the river where it's a little more peaceful. So the river is the flow. And that's what convergence is. It's the flowing, I think it was, 300 something years ago was it first came into it. And it was coming together. It was that bringing two paths together and then making them one from that point on. Not two paths coming together and then crisscrossing and making somebody choose one or the other. They were coming together in a direction. And this is what we need, each one of us, within our own hearts. we're born, the heart is the one that signals the brain to come to life. The brain is a duality system. It's a system, it's all one, basically. But it works on this sort of biotechnology in your brain. What I've learned during COVID in my brain fog is that all the receivers and broadcasters are working. They're just not receiving each other's signals. It isn't me that has the problem with memory. It's the communication system. When I apply that to television or the news, I'm not the problem. The problem is the information that that machine is sending to me. So if I'm in the middle of something that's a distortion, distorted energy, why wouldn't I feel distorted? If I'm watching something that's scary, why wouldn't I be scared? Or be scared? Why am I watching that? Why am I tuning into that? Sometimes I thought in my life I was tuning into it to overcome it, to build a strength against it. No, it didn't happen. Let's shift from the scary story. Let's look in our hearts and look at the future of humanity. We, not them, are responsible. We are the ones who no longer need to stay separated. And we can come together with just love. Love is the answer. Not the fairy book love, not the romantic book love, not the love that we've been sold through products or thoughts or sexuality, but love, respect, harmony, balance, integrity. Take a deep breath. And release it. Love is that simple. It's as simple as breathing. You are love. Beyond all that is said and done, beyond every breakfast, beyond every late night movie, beyond every sports game, you are love. I had a friend, we've all had a friend. They're no longer friends. We bless them. I send them love. We had a difference. We had, instead of converging, which we found something that just wouldn't converge. And so I send love to them now because I know in their hearts they're sincere and they believe what they believe. And it's not my job to change your mind or anybody else's mind, but it is my purpose to remind you that only you, loving you, is the beginning of loving everyone else. And if you're not loving others, don't look out there. Look right in here. because the person you're not loving is you. And that's where the convergence is not working. That's where the two halves of the brain are not working. That's where the connection between the heart and the brain is not working. And you can do something about it. You can find ways to start admiring who you are and looking at the positive things you've done in your life. And like those rivers coming together, the long journey of each of those rivers coming to that point, and then blending it all together to greet Mother Ocean, Grandmother Ocean. It's a celebration of you. We can choose to flow with ease or grace, or we can choose to just stumble all over the rocks and the cliffs and be splashed around. And doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but the whole journey doesn't have to be that. When you're in the woods and you see those cliffs and falls of the water, and then it's all that turbulence, and then afterward it's this calm flow. This is your life. This is what you are experiencing. You are the water. You are the love. You are planet Earth. You are this universe. All of that is you inside. My notes says the energy of love is always flowing. Yet the receivers and broadcasters the brain is struggling to identify it and send it on. So like brain fog, we've had brain fog for a long time, a lot longer than COVID. And we didn't know it. And it has sort of enhanced it and brought it to a new level. So each of us have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other to love and respect. And that trickles down to everything we do. The food we eat, the water, the elections. There's no separation. There is only convergence. The only way through this is to converge and to enhance each other and offer each other without conditions what we have to offer from an open heart. Not a mind that can imagine and create all of these fantasies and inventions and go deep into dividing life into molecules and subatomic connections. That existed long before we were even humans, before humans existed. It's always existed. There's nothing new. The only thing new is that we've evolved to the level where we can now look at it and use it and utilize it, not for weapons. This was Einstein's problem. How can I publish what I just learned without destroying the world? These are my words. And then from my understanding, somebody said, what happens if somebody else discovers it first? And that changed. That changed humanity forever. It changed it forever to realize that we have the ability to destroy everything. And to own that elevates us to the level of that which we call God in a human form. Not a religious, not a beneficial God, a God of power, not a God of love. Bless you all. Thank you all for listening to this today. I hope that it's opened just some thoughts in your mind to carry you forward wherever you are around the world through the daily struggles that you're living with um, our great our governments. I'll call them governments, the great governments. And I'm not saying that all governments are bad. Governing is not a bad process, but the governing by people who are narcissistic and selfish, very selfish and greedy, never has been beneficial to the average human being. Use your power. Use your heart. Vote from your heart. Not about who's right or wrong, because you can prove them all wrong somewhere. Vote for the ones that are looking to help the future generations. We'll be gone, but we owe it in advance to them. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. One heart, one love. Forever and ever and ever. No matter what or who thinks they rule the world. Love you all. Bless you all. Have a wonderful week wherever you are. Whether it's getting warmer or colder, appreciate the change of the seasons. It reminds us that nothing is permanent, least of all us. Bless you.